This is YGTV and YG One-on-One. I'm your host, Paul M. Newberger, CEO of the Young Guns Movement. Welcome to YG One-on-One, sponsored by Right Now Media at Work, FlexScripts, and C12. On YGTV, we bring action-oriented entrepreneurs and free thinkers to the stage so we can be inspired, informed, and better understand how we can grow by breaking the rules of business. This show is a long-form sit-down with a CEO, business leader, or luminary to learn how they got there and what they can teach us. For more content shaking up the business industry, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Today, we're on set at Serendipity Labs going one-on-one with David Mitchell, president at Lift Products. Let's go.
Welcome to Right Now Media at Work, an on-demand library of video resources used by Christian business leaders to care for employees, inspire leaders, and cultivate a healthy team. Serve your employees with over 20,000 videos on topics like professional development, mental health, and leadership from leaders like Patrick Lencioni, Henry Cloud, and John Maxwell, plus marriage, parenting, and personal finance content. Help your employees become better at home and better at work. Schedule a free demo today to get an in-depth tour of Right Now Media at Work.
If you're a CEO, listen up. Odds are you're paying too much for your employee benefit pharmacy spend. How do I know? I work with FlexScripts. They're the PBM police, delivering their average client 15 to 20% savings on their pharmacy benefits. Think how much money that is. FlexScripts makes sure your PBM keeps their promises and meets your guarantees. And if they don't, FlexScripts holds them accountable and gets you what you deserve. Stop paying too much for your pharmacy benefits. Get FlexScripts, the PBM police, on your side. Start the conversation today at flexscripts.com. That's flexscripts.com. On YGTV, we talk about being a strong leader, being focused and pushing the envelope. Many of you are hard chargers, but truth be told, we all could use a sounding board and some accountability along the way. Through a peer group format, the C12 group gathers a dedicated group of leaders who want bigger, better businesses and share your Christian values. The C12 group is the largest and fastest growing faith-based business peer advisory group in the world, and they are now expanding right here in the Milwaukee area. If you're a CEO or business owner and want to find out if you qualify for one of these groups, contact my friend Chris Wise at 920-969-8070 or go to c12group.com, the letter C, 12group.com. The C12 Group, building great businesses for a greater purpose. So today we're joined by David Mitchell, president of Lift Products. David, it's wonderful to have you here today.
It's an honor to be here today, Paul. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that I most admire about you, David, is you've got this passion for life, a zest for life. Where does that passion come from?
So, Paul, I feel very blessed. You and I share a faith. And so I wake up every day, no matter what's going on in my life, personally or professionally, I try to think about all the things that I have to be thankful for. And so when you approach each day with an attitude of gratitude, it's hard not to have a smile on your face. Even if it's, how blessed are we to be able to take a shower every morning in water that we could drink from the shower head. I mean, that's a huge blessing that most people don't. I think about that every morning in the shower. So, I mean, not to get too personal, but no, I mean, seriously, it's all about what you focus on. So I try to focus on the positive, which keeps me positive.
Yeah, well, we like to get personal here on YG One-on-One, so that's totally okay, David. So this attitude of gratitude, has that always come easy for you, or has that been something you've had to kind of learn along the way?
It's really been who I am at my core. Even before I came to the faith, which was back in 2000, I still had that attitude of gratitude and a positive energy that I like to share. I mean, I feel that we get back what we give out. So if you're giving positive energy out, you typically get positive energy back. And so it's been who I am. So I feel blessed in that regard that that's who I've always been at my core. Now, I've gotten lost along the way at periods in my life, but I was always able to come back to that core.
How about surrounding yourself with positive people?
Oh, absolutely.
Has that been a pretty big component of what's made you?
So, surrounding myself with positive people, people that I feel that are also mentors for me. I mean, I feel that, as you do, Paul, that life is all about learning, and it's a journey, and we're all on this journey, and we're at different points in that journey, and people come into our lives and they leave our lives sometimes, but there's always something to learn from those people that come in and out. So I try to surround myself with people that I can learn from, and that share the same positive attitude that I do.
What would you say to a business leader, a luminary, a business executive, whomever, that is kind of flying through life solo, doesn't really have a go-to mentor, doesn't have this group of positive people to motivate and encourage them? What would you say to that person in terms of what they might be missing out on?
They're missing out on a lot. So I belong to an executive forum group, which I've been in for over or close to 15 years, which is like a tech group. And obviously surround myself with the men in our Alpha Bible study. If you're trying to go it alone, you're going to miss out on so much and so many learning opportunities. I would say to those individuals that you need to seek out individuals that you view and you admire, that you view as successful. And even people that have different strengths than you, so that they can help you learn and help you learn those strengths to be a more well-rounded entrepreneur, executive, president, whatever your passion or goal is in life.
Yeah. So we talk about finding a mentor, surrounding yourself with somebody. I mean, a mentor can be kind of a broad term. Hey, you want to be my mentor? Well, I got nothing else to do. Okay. I mean, you want to make sure, obviously, you pick high quality people.
Absolutely.
If somebody now is listening to you and saying, okay, David Mitchell, yeah, you've inspired me. Now that I know what you do in the shower, now I'm all set and ready to go. So when you talk about a mentor, what are the hallmarks that make a good mentor? What should somebody be looking for in a mentor to make sure that they've picked the right person?
So I think it's something that happens more organically. Obviously, you don't go, oh, I want that guy to be my mentor, right? So the mentors that I have in my life currently are also close friends, right? So we share a bond deeper than just a business relationship or a professional relationship. So I think the mentors in your life need to also be individuals that are your friends and that you share a deep connection with in order for that relationship to really blossom.
Where did your love of business come from? And maybe you're a humble guy, so I'm going to say this for you. But you're a somebody in the business community. You've got a very solid track record of success. You're doing some amazing things, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But when did you notice you were starting to be drawn to business, drawn to leadership, drawn to entrepreneurship? When did that start to happen for you?
Really in college. So I'm actually an engineer by education. Most people don't believe that because I'm an engineer by education, a salesperson by nature, right? And I believe that sales is the key to success in all aspects of your life. And I don't mean selling in that you're trying to convince somebody to do something they don't want to do or be somebody they don't want to be. I mean selling in that you truly are listening to people in all aspects of your life, professionally, personally, in your family, and responding to the needs of those individuals. And if you can do that successfully throughout your life and take those skills, I think that you can write your own ticket. You can truly be everything you want to be in life if you approach life from that perspective, because it's all about ultimately lifting other people up, right?
And so you had mentioned that you started to get the taste for that, the itch for that in college.
Right.
What was it specifically that started to do that for you?
Really, it was just being in different organizations within the university and rising to a leadership level, and knowing that I really enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the aspects of leadership that I enjoy, and what I learned in college about myself is that I enjoy helping other people figure out who they are and figure out how they can be successful, which to me is the key to any successful organization and any successful leader is lifting up your team, right? Taking exceptional care of your people.
Sure.
So it really started from there, and then I saw sales as an avenue for me, since I had the engineering background, to not only be part of a team or part of a company, but also to go out and help whatever customers I would be calling on meet their needs and help them solve problems.
And I want to go to the sales topic. You know me, that's a passion of mine.
Absolutely.
I do sales training and speaking, so we got to be mindful of the time here. We can get kind of carried away.
We could go all day.
Absolutely, yeah. So back in the day when I was doing professional fundraising, I had aspired to be a college president. And I made a concerted effort to say, well, I think a good college president, good college presidents can come from faculty, for sure. Good college presidents can come from deans and et cetera. But I also think it would have made a lot of sense for a good college president to be well-versed in fundraising.
Amen.
Because that person's going to be one of your cheerleaders and your main focal points. So I got really deep in fundraising, but what I hear you saying is, if somebody wants to be a C-suite executive, a business owner, a CEO, something like that, are you saying that spending some time in sales is a good precursor for someone to attain that level of leadership?
Absolutely. So in my career, I spent, the first 10, 12 years of my career in sales, some of that 100% commission sales. And it was during that period of time where I truly learned the skills of listening, helping people solve problems, and understanding and getting to the core of the issue, right? So I believe that all organizations would benefit from having a sales guy or a guy who came up through the sales ranks at the top. I have so much respect for the finance side of the business. I can read, a balance sheet. I can read an income statement. I know what they're telling me. But I think that people who come up only in the finance side, and this is not a slam on finance people, I love them. I've got great finance people on my team. They can sometimes be very narrow-minded in their view of how you run a business, and they focus on the spreadsheets and the numbers and not on the people. Because at the end of the day, you don't grow a business, you grow people, right? And that grows the business. So I think every organization would benefit from having a guy at the top or near the top in the leadership team, doesn't have to be the CEO or president, that has a sales background. Absolutely.
So we talk about having a sales background, but let's say you reach that part of your career. You're now a CEO, you're a president, whatever, you're right up there now. So I've got the sales background. Is it still advantageous for the organization for that leader to still be involved in sales?
100%, absolutely. I just got back from a trip down to Dallas.
Okay.
To call on one of our big dealers down in Dallas and meet with our regional sales manager. That energizes me to get out. We haven't been able to get out in the field for months. So I came back from that trip, got back Friday, and I was completely energized because we took this customer out. We talked about business. We bonded. You can't bond over. It's really hard to bond over the internet, right?
Yeah.
So we went out to dinner. We talked about our families and our faith, and he sent me a really nice thank you card to just say, "Wow, you're a rarity. People don't build relationships like this anymore."
Oh.
And I've met this guy twice, and he's the owner of this dealership down in Texas. So yes, the president not only needs to get out and sell for the company, but also needs to get out and sell the organization to the community, to the nation, essentially, right? This is who we are. This is what we're about. If you look at my LinkedIn page, it's not about me. The caption is about what we do, what we do as a company.
Well, let's talk a little bit about diving deeper with these relationships. So I think a lot of people are fairly decent at building relationships, but I think what you just said there was a little bit more impressive. You've been able to build this kind of a deep relationship in 2 meetings. That doesn't happen a whole lot. What the heck is David Mitchell doing? What if somebody were to say, using this example or maybe even just a little bit more generally, how are you able to build such a quality relationship in just 2 meetings? What are some of the best practices we can learn from what you've been able to do?
It's exactly what we're doing right now. You ask questions, and I truly care about other people. So it's not, for me, I'm not putting on a show, right? I truly care about this man and the success of his business. So the first meeting was me asking a lot of questions, learning about who he is, right? And who he is as a person, who he is as a business leader, who he is with his family, who he is with his faith. And then once I know more about him, he feels bonded to me because now I know who he is as an individual, not just as a business guy, right? And then he's more apt to start asking me questions about me and about my life and about my family. But it starts with truly taking interest in that person and who they are.
Yeah, and I think there's a number of people that claim credit for this quote, but what is that old saying? People don't care about what you know until they know that you care.
Yep, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, well, great minds think alike after all,
Amen.
buddy. So good, okay. Well, I think that certainly makes a lot of sense. When I get asked to describe David Mitchell, depending on who's asking, because we're friends, of course, but
Keep it clean today, though, please.
In all seriousness, when I get asked to describe David Mitchell, 2 words come to my mind: servant leader. And I have a definition of servant leader. You obviously embody servant leadership. What does servant leadership mean to David Mitchell? And why should other executives aspire to be a servant leader?
It's a great question. So, servant leadership was something that I didn't even know existed truly until I came to the faith. I didn't really know the term, right? But it was something that I had embodied naturally from a very young age. So it took on a whole new meaning once I came to the faith. And for me, servant leadership truly means, and I can sum it up very simply, is that you need to take exceptional care of your team, right? Which means you are invested in their success. You are invested helping them become the best, whatever they are in your company. If they're a salesperson, if they're administrative staff, if they're an engineer, if they're your manufacturing lead, help them become the best that they can be in that. And that means not micromanaging them. It means giving them the tools when they need help to be successful in their jobs and letting them do their job. Standing back and letting them do their job. But in the process, setting that strategic vision, getting everybody excited about that strategic vision, and then helping everybody by giving them the tools to get there, not by kicking them in the butt, not by cracking the whip, but by truly caring about who they are as people, and also not just being successful at a company, but being successful in their life, being successful at home with their families. I mean, I have people that come into my office and they'll ask me about my faith, and we'll talk about faith, and ask me, how are you so happy every day with everything going on? So those are the kind of conversations that you have with your employees, and then they truly know you care. And I don't walk into the office every day and go straight to my desk. I walk around the office. I talk to everybody. Hey, how was your night last night? How's your husband doing? How's your wife doing? And I know most of them by name. So it's truly taking an interest in the individual.
Yeah, well, you'd mentioned family a couple of times there, so let's focus on that next. Admittedly, over the years, and I've gotten better, but I never quite mastered work-life balance. I think it was always tilting in one way or the other, and I think I've certainly gotten better in that regard. You strike me as an individual that has a decent work-life balance yourself. Do you think most executives have a good work-life balance? And if not, what types of recommendations can you give to those individuals to maybe get in better alignment in that regard?
I think most executives probably do. All right, I was out of whack when I was younger because I was traveling a ton, and I had, it was a lot higher demands on my time for the job. But what I would say is this. So even though I was traveling a ton, when the kids were younger, I still took the time to make all their sporting events, make all their activities at school. I took time to coach all the kids in athletics. I did what I could do to be around them as much as possible. But ultimately, it comes down to setting your priorities, right? So for me, it's faith, family, friends, and then me, right? My physical health, taking care of me. But it's faith, family, friends. And I don't always keep that, right? And work's not there. It's faith, family, friends. So work is kind of on par with me. I don't always keep it in that order. Sometimes they switch around. Sometimes family takes the number one priority because there's needs inside the family that need more of my time. And I think if you give yourself the, permission to float those priorities, but always trying to keep those, and maybe for some people, faith isn't number one. But I think family needs to definitely be at the top whenever it can, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be on your deathbed and you're not going to say, gee, I wish I would have worked more. No. Right? You're gonna wish you would have spent more time with your family and your friends. So. Well,
and it's obvious that Lift Products is blessed to have you leading the organization, not only from a servant leadership perspective, but as a guy that sets the tone. This is exactly the right tone that you want to set for an organization. For those individuals watching this that aren't very familiar with Lift Products, Tell us a little bit about your organization and the services that you provide.
So Lift Products Incorporated is really two companies. It's Lift Products Inc. and Lift Products Manufacturing, which is in Waupun. And we specialize in building hydraulic lift tables. And these lift tables are used to make the work environment safer and more efficient for companies so that employees aren't bending over to pick stuff up, right? You put the pallet on a lift table, you lift it up to a working height where they can either load or offload that pallet, or they can bring a heavy piece up to a working height where they can work on it. So it's all about safety and efficiency. So we really try to work with customers to understand their true problems when it comes to material handling, and then offer solutions to provide that.
So of all the types of organizations that you could be leading and all the industries that you could potentially be associated with, what is it about hydraulic lift tables that gets you so excited to start your day?
So the material handling industry as a whole is a high growth industry. So if you just think about the way we are buying products today, so we're buying from Amazon online, Walmart online, Target online, right? So we've got these huge distribution and warehousing facilities where material handling is key. And the automation of that material handling is going to become even more critical because they're going to want to do it faster and more efficiently with fewer bodies. So this is the entree into that. So my vision, and Lift Products is a portfolio company of Borgman Capital, which is a PE firm here in town. And so I was hired by Borgman Capital to run Lift Products and take it to the next level. So what I envision is that we are going to get into that automation space, into the conveyance space, obviously integrating our lift tables into those systems. But material handling is a huge growth industry. So that's why I'm excited about it. Yes, on the surface, a little hydraulic lift table, what is that, right?
Yeah.
But even just the simple little hydraulic lift table, it truly does provide safety and efficiency for companies. So it truly is protecting people within the organization, protecting them from injury and protecting the organization itself.
So we're talking about the future of this the division and the future of this industry and why you get so excited about it. So there's a lot of reasons for optimism, but what are some of the challenges that are unique to an organization in this industry? Well, what are some of the things that you experience, maybe the things that might make your job a little bit more difficult, and what are you doing to try to overcome some of those challenges?
So I took over the leadership role last November 4th. So it'll be a year that I've been in place on November 4th, so just a week away or so. I certainly didn't anticipate when I put the budget together for this year that we were going to have a pandemic.
What's the matter with you, David? How could you not see that coming?
Didn't see that one coming. So our sales are down about 15-20% right now. So I've had to make some tough choices. I've had to reduce headcount. I've had to cut pay across the board, including my own. I participate with everybody else. No bonuses, no raises. But in doing that, we were able to keep the team on the field that we wanted to keep. I was able to keep all the people I wanted to keep. And we are eking out a small profit every month, all right? So we're profitable. We're not losing money, which, thank goodness, right? Mm-hmm. We're just not growing the way I thought we could grow. So I have to be very counter-cyclical within the organization. So I come in the office every morning, smile on my face, happy about the day ahead, trying to pump and lift everybody up. Because when times are bad, I truly believe it's our responsibility as the leaders of the organization to bring that positive energy to the office, because it's really hard on a day-to-day basis when the phones are slow, the sales calls are slow, customers won't see you. I mean, it's really easy for the sales team and then the extended team beyond that to get down on themselves. Yeah. So I do a lot so I started during the pandemic, I send out a motivational, I call it morning motivation. And I try to tie it, like today is Bill Gates' birthday. Oh. So today I sent out my morning, and I do it every morning, Monday through Friday. I've been doing it since late March. So today I sent out an email with a quick little bio on Bill Gates, not that everybody knows who he is, but just a quick little bio and a link to a bio, and then 4 quotes from Bill Gates. That has gone a long way. I mean, people comment on that all the time. And at the end of it, by the way, I say to everybody, keeping you and your families in my prayers. And not everybody is Christian in the company, but no one has complained because I'm praying for them.
Yeah.
So it's really about keeping everybody lifted up and keeping everybody positive through this. There will be light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know when that's going to happen. Our sales have been down since May, and I really thought by now they'd be picking back up, but they're not. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing. We got to keep finding as many orders as we can, and in the process, try to have some fun along the way. I think it's important to have fun in the company too. So I do this thing where every Friday I bring donuts, I bring treats. I do it every Friday without fail, as long as I'm in the office. And just fun stuff, little stuff like that. We buy lunches from time to time. Obviously, when we get back on top again, I want to do some company outings. I want to do team building events. It's just very important for all of us to bond.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. It's good stuff. And the way what you're kind of talking about here, because this is one of the follow-up questions I'd like to ask you. So I think a lot of individuals go through life with a to mentality. The pandemic happened to me. This happened to me. Why would she do this to me? And with a to mentality, that kind of inherently makes you a victim. That you had no control in it. All these things are happening against your will. They're bad stuff. I think what separates some really successful people from those that don't reach that level of success is going from a to mentality to a for mentality. That happened for me. So now it's, regardless of what it is, if you have a for mentality, there's a blessing in everything. There's a ray of sunshine in everything that could happen, good or bad.
Right.
So with that being said, what did the pandemic do for David Mitchell, and what did the pandemic do for Lift Products?
So for David Mitchell, it brought all my kids home, my adult kids. So I was able to bond, have my adult children home for a period of time, which was a blessing to a point. There is a reason adult children shouldn't stay too long when they come back to your house. But no, it was, I joke, but they are kind of messy when they come home, especially boys. So that for me, it brought us together. My wife and I have spent more time together, just going for walks after work or just spending time talking in the kitchen. So from that aspect, the family bonding was a huge plus that came out of it. And for the company, it enabled them, because I was the new leader, right? I'm the new guy. And actually, I was the third or fourth president of this young company that they just bought back in the equity group bought back in the summer of 2018. So it enabled them to see me during a crisis. How is David going to freak out? What is David going to do? My goodness, the sky is falling. So they look to me for that leadership. So it really, the huge positive is that the team trusts me now. They already trust me. And sometimes for a team to trust the new leader, that can take 2-3 years.
Sure.
But that's done. They trust me. They're invested. They believe that I'm the guy that cares about them, cares about the company, and truly has their best interests in mind and wants to grow the company. So that was the huge plus, was the trust factor just went through the roof. Because I didn't cave. I just said, no, we're going to get through this, and here's what we're going to do.
Well, what's interesting, so Lift Products being a relatively new organization, you had talked about them going through maybe 3 or 4 presidents in just a few years. It's interesting. I think most people would probably look at that as a red flag. Most people might say, hey, I'm getting courted by this organization, but my goodness, look at how they're recycling leaders. You saw that as an opportunity and you went forward.
Right.
What was it about this opportunity in particular, especially when they've had so much transition in the C-suite, that drew you to it?
So again, it comes back to the industry. I think material handling is a huge growth industry. I don't think I know it is. You can look at the data. But I know that culture is king, right? And I knew that I could bring the right culture there that could grow this company. So I have a very simple philosophy. It's take exceptional care of the team, and I mean exceptional care of the team. The team will then take exceptional care of your customers, and your customers will take exceptional care of the company. And you do that over and over again, and that's that little circle, and that just creates an upward trajectory for the company. But it has to be real. It has to be sincere. It can't be fake. I mean, you got to truly care about your team. And so that's what I saw. I saw the opportunity to be in the material handling industry and to bring my belief in culture is king to the company.
So somebody watching this says, yeah, that sounds really, really good. I want to start making culture king in my organization. But when you're kind of starting from scratch, that can be kind of overwhelming. Gosh, what do we do from a value-added proposition to our clients? What do we do for our employees? Where do we even begin? If somebody's watching this and really getting inspired by this and they want to make their culture that much better, what are one or two first steps that you think they should take? One or two first things they should consider doing to start building the culture that they want for their company?
So the very first thing, if the leader's not already doing it, and I do know some leaders that just, they're just not extroverts, right? They're more of an introvert. So it's not their nature to put themselves out there as much. Not that they can't, it's just not their nature to do it. But I believe the first step, if you're really trying to build an engaged, empowered team, is to truly show your team that you care about them as people, not just as employees at your company, but you care about them as human beings. And you do that by walking around the office every day and talking to everybody one-on-one. It takes 2 to 3 minutes a person, right? It could even be a minute if you have a larger company. But I believe that is so critical. Another thing you can do, so this is the first thing I did when I got there on day one. I put everybody's birth date and everybody's anniversary date at the company in my calendar on day one. And so everybody on their birth date and anniversary date gets an electronic e-card from me personally, not from the company, from me personally, wishing them a happy birthday, thanking them for being at the company, and letting them know that I care about them. And that takes 30 seconds, right? Anybody can do that. I signed up for an online e-card business. I put in their email address, shows up on the appropriate day, and I get awesome thank you emails from the team just for doing that little thing.
Yeah. So have a lot of these things just been things that you've learned along the way that you've kind of developed on your own, or is there a mentor or two maybe that you can point to? Somebody that really kind of taught you what it was like to be a great servant leader, somebody that taught you what it was really like to really make a world-class corporate culture in an organization? And if so, who would you point to as somebody that was really an inspiring force in your life?
So it was my grandfather, actually. And as I said, I learned this at a young age. So my grandfather unfortunately died when I was 15. But he was a plumber, and he had a plumbing business in Crawfordsville, Indiana. And we lived in Lafayette at the time. And actually for a while we lived in St. Louis. But I would go there for a couple weeks in the summer, and I'd live with my grandmother and grandfather. And in the mornings we would go out, and I would go on plumbing. I'm actually a really good plumber, believe it or not. I would go out on plumbing calls with my grandfather, and he had other guys that worked with him, but I would go around with him, and we would do work. And he was always so kind to everybody that we were there to serve. He was always so genuine with these people. And in some cases, I know for a fact that he did the plumbing work for free because he knew they couldn't afford it, but they needed their toilet fixed, or they needed their water running, or they needed their septic system cleaned out. That was not fun. So I learned at a very young age that life is about how you treat people, and it's about how you serve others. It's not all about you. You get more back by doing that than you ever will just running around focusing on yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's really where I learned it. And then along the way, I had some not so good managers in my career. And I would just file that away and go, not going to do that. And so it really developed over time. I mean, and I've read a lot of books, like you, I like to read. But the problem with me is I have 10 books going at any one time, and I never finish any of them. But I always pick up, it's not an issue unless there's something really, I will finish them, but there's always tidbits of wisdom to pick up no matter what you're reading, right?
Yeah.
And so it really just developed over time, and it started with my grandfather and watching how he ran his business, treated his customers, and treated his employees.
Well, it's good that you talked about your background in plumbing, because the toilet in the studio has been on the fritz. So hopefully before you go, you can look at that for us.
I don't have my tools with me, but if you got the tools, I can work on it.
You're a man of many talents, David Mitchell. We'll just add plumbing to the list. You had talked about your interest in reading and picking up tidbits of wisdom. What was one of the latest tidbits of wisdom that you've picked up, and how have you implemented that?
Well, really, a lot of it's right now is coming from our daily scripture reading in the Once a Day Bible that we're doing with the Alpha Bible Study. And the reflections that are written by various famous people always seem to speak to me. So a lot of it just reinforces that attitude of gratitude, number one, and number two, to always strive to be a better servant leader. I'm not perfect, right? I make mistakes every day, but I get up every day with an attitude of trying to be a better servant leader the next day than I was the day before.
Yeah.
But I'm not always successful. So really a lot of it's coming from that right now. Right now I'm actually reading 1984, and I find, and I haven't read that since high school. So it's really weird to read that now with everything going on in the world, with the perspective of almost 55 years late. Well, not, I guess it'd be 40 some years later, but yeah, so that is really speaking to me in a way that is bolstering my patriotism right now, and really appreciating what this country was founded on, and the freedoms that we have here, and that we need to preserve that.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite things about being in this role with respect to YG One-on-One is I get to learn from a lot of very insightful men and women, and you are certainly right at the top of this list. I mean, this has been a very engaging conversation. I hate to start the process of winding this down, so before I do, I'm going to ask you one more quick question here. So I know you got a birthday coming up here pretty soon, and I hope you don't mind me telling the world, but because you've said it before, you're looking at the double nickels. Hard to believe. Yep. You look stellar.
Thank you.
For 55. Thank you. But, you know, at some point, personally and professionally, we start thinking about our legacy. What kind of legacy do we want to leave? What's the legacy going to look like? And then you still got a long runway left, especially professionally. But when all is said and done with respect to Lift products in particular, what do you want your legacy to be at this organization?
That's a great question. So from a professional perspective, I want to grow the company substantially, right? But that's not where my focus will be. My focus will be on growing the team, right? Helping everybody that's there, that wants to be there, become the best that they can be, and then adding the right players to the team as we grow, or the right acquisitions of other companies along the way. But the legacy I really want to leave is I want people who have met me to believe and know in their hearts that truly I have their best interests in mind, that truly I care about them as a leader, and that I'm not just there for the prestige of leadership. I'm there to do a job, but that job, the most important part of that job to me is helping other people be successful, and in turn, that helps the company grow.
Well, I said it once, I'll say it again. This has been a very enlightening conversation. I know we've been friends for a while, but every time I listen to you talk, David, I always have several takeaways. Today is no exception. And whoever would have thought that a conversation with a business executive of a company that does hydraulic lift tables can be so enlightening, but this certainly was. I really do appreciate it, David. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us, and obviously best of luck on all your endeavors moving forward.
And thank you, Paul. It's truly an honor to be here with you. I mean, I admire you as well. You have so many different irons in the fire. It's just amazing that you can get it all done and keep it all straight. But you're a very impressive young man.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks to David for sitting down on set right here at Serendipity Labs, sponsored by Right Now Media at Work, Flex Scripts, and C12. We want to feature the CEOs and executives that inspire you. Let us know who you'd like to see by connecting with us on our website or various social media channels. And make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode of YGTV. I'm your host, Paul M. Newberger, CEO of the Young Guns Movement. We'll see you next time.